Welcome to Crimson Ed Talks. We're rejoined with Laila in episode 2, learning all about how you can make research more accessible. In this episode, we're going to deep dive into exactly how a high school student can even conduct research, what that even means, and what kind of skills you can take from research into your college years and beyond. Laila, welcome back to Crimson Ed Talks.
So happy to be here.
You've done some amazing work with Indigo Research. Can you explain what the mission is behind Indigo Research in your own words?
Yes, I'm going to just give my personal take as it relates to my journey. So I grew up as a jazz musician, right? But I had this kind of unusual exposure to jazz, which is that when I was 4, I was put into music lessons. And from there, I had a really unusual teacher who basically taught me bebop heads. And for anyone who doesn't know about jazz or bebop, it's these very complicated, like flutters of sound, super harmonically complex. Like it's something you really dig into and study. But he just taught it to me rote. So he would sing me a phrase, I would sing it back to him. That was our practice. And from there, I was just, I was like given this foundational belief that if you give a young person complex material, they will absorb that complex material and do something with it. And so I believe that that's foundationally what we do at Indigo. We believe that if you give young people complex ideas, they will absorb those ideas and make something of it that is their own. A lot of people believe, how can high schoolers do research? And I just don't buy into that at all.
And, I would say you've definitely won that debate through action, that, so many students around the world have completed these incredible research projects, which are, I think, in many cases, as rigorous as, a robust undergraduate piece of research, and in some cases even beyond that. So very, very exciting. Why is making research accessible to high school students, in your view, so important?
I mean, I think developmentally, if we can reach these young people with these complex ideas at that age, it will just result in sort of like, more flourishing work, a more flourishing, global intellectual community. Like I see this as having serious positive knock-on effects. And I think that when we sort of stifle ourselves to more narrow forms of education, we just don't allow our ideas to get as big as they can be. And some of these are like big weapons, big tools. I remember talking to this like old school sociologist at Harvard who, I was teaching these high schoolers some feminist theory when I was in college. And he sort of took me aside and was like, you're giving them atomic bombs. Like they're not ready for the feminist theory. And I think maybe they mishandle the ideas at first, but they will mature. They will mature into the ideas. So I guess what I think is that if we can expose young people to these ideas earlier and give them a chance to mature with the ideas through college, like they just will do better and better work, and the world will be better and better for it.
Now, there have been recently a lot of scandals, particularly in areas like behavioral economics, even notable business school professors, some scientists, in terms of research that has various flaws in it across a wide range of top universities. And sometimes you can attribute this perhaps to the high pressure cooker environment of sort of this tenure track pursuit or whatever. But, ultimately, it's a real failing of academic integrity. What steps do you take to ensure academic integrity with high school students in Indigo's programs?
Oh my gosh. I mean, big question. And the super topical thing that comes to mind now is AI, right? And I think that at Indigo, we're thinking very deeply about the AI question. And I should also say, like, all the major institutions, all the Ivy League schools, they are also thinking very deeply about this question. And essentially, no one has settled on an answer. I think the closest we're seeing other institutions come to an answer on the AI academic integrity question is they are creating their own proprietary AI checkers that no one else is allowed to use, and that's their approach. With our approach, we are trying to, first of all, AI proof some of our assignment types, and I think we're going to see this as a trend throughout education. Basically, like just as a small example, AI is quite good at certain kinds of synthesis, and synthesis traditionally has been held up as one of the greatest forms of learning. Like when you get a child to synthesize information, it's a good thing. And so now we're looking at other types of, checking for learning that AI isn't so good at doing. Also, I think one thing we're thinking quite deeply about is metacognition. So asking students to speak to their own usage of AI and their own usage of technology and sort of reflect on that as part of the learning process, in addition to the assignments that they submit to us. But yeah, I mean, it's all quite experimental right now. And we're hoping to come away with some learning and some data actually at the end of this IRIS cohort where we're trying out some new methods.
And I think also it's brilliant for high school students to sort of experience this in high school, build these skills nice and early, because I think it's sort of tough sometimes for a student to be thrown into college in a pretty high stakes environment and not go through, really rigorous academic integrity training. So it's certainly very, very helpful. What kind of trends are you seeing in the types of research students want to pursue? Any particular themes, topics that have been sort of in vogue lately? New emerging trends you're seeing more and more of, given how many high school students you're helping with research these days?
Great question. I mean, I would say that more and more we're seeing sort of like novel interdisciplinary combinations as a thing. So, like digital art and computer science, like these sorts of things coming together and trying to gain insights from that. But I think also environmental science is huge. Obviously, it is the topic du jour, and it's incredibly urgent, so it makes perfect sense. AI ethics and bioethics, as science progresses, we need to sort of like do more reflection on how we're using those tools. Those are the major topics that come to mind. But obviously, like, I think every technological frontier, we will see a sort of like surprising proportion of young people trying to pursue those at an early age.
I certainly see, they're kind of riffing on that a little bit. I see a lot of students really diving deep into artificial intelligence, applied to all kinds of things from, biology to public policy, AI safety stuff. That's certainly been a big one that I've seen a lot of, but certainly really exciting. Now, any particular memories of past students that have performed either incredible research or their journey has struck you in particular ways?
Yeah, we've had a lot of really amazing students, and I think students who embody this kind of intrepid way of being. But one student who really stands out is Camila, a former student of ours who decided to pursue cancer research due to a personal relationship with it. And I think we have a lot of students who come to us and want to pursue like immunology or infectious diseases or whatever. And usually if a student is pursuing medicine, they have a personal relationship to it. But Camila just went whole hog into it. She did the research paper, she got it published, she wrote a book actually about her experience and got that published. And then she got into like every school you could imagine. And I'm sure that, it was the achievement, but it was also that authentic connection. And, she got into Caltech, she got into UC Berkeley, she got into Penn, she got into Cornell. We're super proud of her.
And what are some of your future goals as an entrepreneur driving Indigo in terms of expanding access to education, goals for the unit, goals for research more generally for high school students? Anything come to mind?
I mean, you know this about me. I really care about access. And so the first thing I did when I joined Indigo was create a scholarship program where students can apply just through Instagram, like meeting students really where they are. And now we are starting a secondary scholarship program that is more, in the sort of competition rigor level, I would say. And so we're asking students to come in with a set research question with some sources chosen and with their methods sort of predetermined. And then we will hook them up with one of our top mentors to pursue that. And the whole premise of that, so actually that scholarship is focused on young women and non-binary identifying students. And just to kind of talk about that briefly, if you look at the data, women, non-men are actually overrepresented throughout all tiers of education. And I mean that in terms of demographics, but also in terms of performance. Elementary school, middle school, high school, college. And yet there is, I think they call it the cliff, but basically postdoc, the numbers precipitously fall off. So tenure track positions, and then the other kind of, highest echelons of scholarly achievement. So this scholarship is called the Next Nobel, because we also know, based on research, that these high school years are critical developmental years. And the way we can reach these young women is through targeted mentorship. What they need is an older person to invest in. And so yeah, that's my next big frontier.
Incredible. I can't wait to see someone listening to this on Instagram or YouTube and hearing about this and then applying for it. Let's see. Hopefully we get some amazing applicants. Alrighty. Now we're going to move to a bit of a lightning round on making research accessible. What's the most exciting part of starting Indigo Research?
The students, always.
Why is research important for high schoolers?
Learning how to address complicated problems in a systematic way.
What's one interdisciplinary topic students love exploring?
I would say environmental science and policy issues.
Biggest challenge you face running Indigo?
Ooh. There are lots of kind of smaller issues. I'm thinking of like small marketing questions and whatever, but honestly, like it's a fantastic team, and there haven't been huge roadblocks that we haven't been able to get past together.
Great to hear. Your proudest
Yeah.
moment with a student?
Oh, probably talking to our next gen scholars from our that's our Iris scholarship where students can apply through Instagram. Talking to them after and hearing from them, you know, talking to a former student in Lebanon who did our neuroscience program who was just talking about how confident she felt after and how ready she was to go to college. And yeah, it was just incredibly meaningful to see someone so smart do that. Sorry, long answer.
And finally, where's Indigo heading next?
Ooh, yeah, I would say like questions around AI usage, academic integrity, and making sure that students are well equipped to navigate algorithmic, that sea.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Laila. An incredible episode, and look forward for folks to apply to that scholarship, the new Nobel. Check it out on Instagram and make sure you get that application in on time.
Thank you so much.